Scotland sits at the northern edge of Great Britain, yet it never feels like an edge. It feels like a threshold, a place where land, sea, and identity quietly negotiate with each other. Technically, Scotland is part of the United Kingdom, but culturally, emotionally, historically, it stands apart. Surrounded by water on three sides, the North Sea, the Atlantic, and the cold breath of the northern coasts, this nation has always looked outward, not inward. Its geography alone explains its mindset. Isolation shaped resilience. Distance protected difference. With a population of just over 5 million, Scotland is not crowded. Life gathers in cities like Edinburgh and Glasgow, while vast stretches of hills, coastlines, and open skies remain untouched. This balance creates something rare in Europe, a country that feels inhabited, yet never overwhelmed, present, yet never consumed by noise. What makes Scotland truly fascinating is not size or statistics. It is the feeling of being inside a larger state, while refusing to dissolve into it. Scotland has its own legal system, its own parliament, its own political debates, often sharper, often more personal than those of its southern neighbor. Here, civic identity is not abstract. People care. They vote. They argue. They remember. History taught Scotland caution, but also pride. Battles, unions, resistance, and compromise carved a national character that values independence of thought, even when independence itself remains contested. This tension lives quietly in daily life. In conversations, in humor, in the way people introduce themselves. Scotland does not shout its difference. It does not need to. You feel it in the rhythm of the streets, in the calm intensity of its people, in the way tradition and modern life coexist without apology. This is a nation within a nation, present but never absorbed, connected but never diluted. To step into Scotland is to step into a place that belongs, yet remains unmistakably itself. And that quiet contradiction is exactly what makes it unforgettable. Here, borders blur, identities deepen, and curiosity awakens, inviting travelers to listen closely, slow down, and discover meaning beyond maps, and familiar European assumptions fade. Edinburgh does not reveal itself all at once. It rises slowly, layer by layer, like a city remembering who it is. As the capital of Scotland, Edinburgh is more than a seat of government. It is a city of thought, a place where decisions are weighed carefully, where history is not erased, but carried forward in stone. Here, power feels quiet, intellectual, almost restrained. The city is divided, yet complete. On one side stands the Old Town, dark and vertical, shaped by medieval urgency. On the other, the New Town, open and geometric, born from Enlightenment ideals. Together, they form a rare urban dialogue, preserved today as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Walking between them feels like crossing centuries in minutes. Above everything, Edinburgh Castle watches in silence. Perched on Castle Rock, it is not merely a landmark. It is a reminder of defense, of royalty, of survival. From its walls, the city spreads out below like a living manuscript. Rooftops, spires, narrow closes, and distant sea mist merging into one continuous story. Stretching from the castle down to Holyrood Palace is the Royal Mile. This ancient spine of the city carries footsteps from every era. Kings, merchants, writers, ordinary lives. Each stone seems worn not by time alone, but by memory. What makes Edinburgh truly distinct is its rhythm. The city moves slowly, deliberately. People value order, personal space, and quiet respect. Mornings begin with coffee and routine. Evenings settle into calm conversations rather than spectacle. There is no rush to impress. Edinburgh does not chase modernity. It absorbs it. Universities, festivals, and political debate breathe life into the old stone, proving that intellect can coexist with tradition. Here, history does not trap the present. It anchors it. Edinburgh is cinematic, but never loud. Melancholic, but never heavy. A city of stone, memory, and depth, inviting those who arrive not to consume it quickly, but to slow down, observe, and listen. And after Scotland's identity takes shape in the mind, Edinburgh gives it weight, texture, and a soul you can walk through. In Scotland, strength does not announce itself. It grows quietly, shaped by wind, rain, and centuries of endurance. Scottish women are not defined by display, They are defined by presence, a presence forged by harsh weather, long winters, and a history that demanded resilience rather than comfort. Here, beauty is not loud, it is steady, grounded, unapologetically real. Across Scotland, women grow up learning to stand on their own. They speak directly, often with a dry, understated humor that cuts through excess. There is no need for embellishment, no need to impress. Honesty is valued more than charm, and clarity more than performance. This practicality does not make them cold, it makes them reliable. Scottish women tend to live simply, rooted deeply in their communities and regional identities. Family, local culture, and shared history matter. Folk music, storytelling, and traditions are not museum pieces here. They are lived, passed down, and quietly protected. What surprises many visitors is how present women are across society, in education, healthcare, politics, and the arts. Scottish women hold leadership roles without spectacle. Their influence is not dramatic, it is structural. They shape systems, guide institutions, and hold communities together through consistency rather than dominance. Compared to cultures where femininity is expected to be soft or decorative, Scotland offers a different image. Here, independence is normal. Walking alone at night, speaking one's mind in public, choosing solitude without apology. These are not statements. They are everyday realities. There is a human depth to Scottish women that lingers. They may appear reserved at first, guarded even, but once trust is earned, warmth emerges slowly and sincerely. Loyalty runs deep. Conversations matter. Silence is comfortable. Their beauty lies not in perfection, but in endurance, in the way they carry history without being trapped by it, in how they navigate a modern world while remaining anchored to place and identity. Scottish women are not symbols, they are foundations, quietly resilient, unshaken by storms, both literal and historical. And as Edinburgh's stone streets echo with memory, it is the women of Scotland who give that history a living, human voice. In Scotland, culture is not preserved behind glass. It breathes, it walks the streets, it speaks softly through music, fabric, and ritual. The kilt is not a costume here, it is memory woven into cloth, worn at weddings, festivals, and moments of pride. It carries the weight of clans, landscapes, and generations who refuse to disappear. Each pattern tells a story, not loudly, but with quiet confidence. Whiskey, too, is more than a drink. It is time itself, years of patience sealed inside oak barrels, shaped by mist, peat, and cold air. In small distilleries tucked between hills and coastlines, whiskey becomes a language of place. Every sip carries smoke, earth, and history. Not rushed, never rushed. Music flows the same way. Scottish folk music is not staged for tourists alone. It lives in pubs, community halls, and open squares. Fiddles, bagpipes, and voices rise without pretense. Sometimes joyful, sometimes haunting, always honest. Here, art does not separate performer from audience. Everyone belongs to the moment. Festivals arrive not as spectacles, but as gatherings. Seasonal celebrations, local games, and centuries-old traditions continue because people choose to carry them forward. Not out of obligation, but out of belonging. Culture survives because it is shared. Language reveals this most clearly. English is spoken everywhere, practical and efficient. Yet Gaelic, once pushed to the edge, is returning. Not as nostalgia, but as a living memory. You hear it in songs, see it on signs, feel it in place names that refuse to be simplified. Each word holds a landscape inside it. What makes Scottish culture so powerful is its lack of performance. Nothing here asks for approval. Nothing needs explanation. Traditions remain because they still serve the people. They give rhythm to life. They anchor identity in a world that moves too fast. There is mystery in that restraint, a sense that not everything must be revealed, that some meanings are earned slowly, through listening rather than looking. Scotland does not display its soul. It lives it, quietly, persistently. And for those willing to slow down, its culture does not shout. It stays. In Scotland, freedom is not a slogan. It is a daily negotiation. Quiet, personal, often misunderstood. In cities like Edinburgh, a woman walking alone at night is not making a statement. She is simply moving through her life. Stopping by a pub after work, sitting alone with a drink, laughing loudly at a late hour. For some, this still feels unsettling. Questions appear. Judgments follow. As if freedom requires an explanation. The The tension does not come from danger alone. It comes from expectation, from old ideas that still whisper in modern streets. That safety must be earned through restriction. That independence carries a cost. That freedom, especially for women, should come with conditions. But Edinburgh tells a different story. Here, many women refuse to perform modesty for comfort. They do not ask permission to exist after dark. They do not dress for approval. They do not apologize for taking up space. This is not rebellion. It is normalcy reclaimed. The real question is never why a woman is out late. It is why her presence still needs justification. Why her choices are examined more closely than the streets she walks. Why responsibility is shifted onto her instead of shared by the society around her. Scottish women carry a particular calm strength, forged by history, sharpened by climate. They speak plainly. They live without ornament. And when they claim freedom, they do so without drama. In Edinburgh, freedom is not loud. It does not march every night. Sometimes it looks like a woman sitting alone in a quiet bar, staring out the window, unbothered. Sometimes it looks like walking home at midnight, keys in hand, head held high. Sometimes it looks like choosing solitude over permission. This is where social tension becomes visible, not as conflict, but as contrast, between old fears and new realities, between control and trust, between protection and autonomy. Freedom does not need defense, it needs space. And in this city of stone and shadow, each ordinary choice made by a woman, without apology, quietly reshapes the future. Just beyond the stone streets and silent debates of Edinburgh, where questions of freedom and identity still echo softly, something unexpected begins to rise. Not a building, not a monument, but land, in Holyrood Park. Wilderness does not wait at the edge of the city. It lives inside it, breathing, watching, unmoved by human arguments. From almost anywhere in the capital, the shape of Arthur's seat is visible. A dormant volcano, ancient, silent, rising gently above rooftops, cafes, and parliament walls. It does not dominate. It invites. A short walk from crowded streets, the ground changes. Stone gives way to grass. Traffic noise dissolves into wind. And suddenly, the city feels small. This land was forged by fire. Volcanic forces shaped these cliffs millions of years ago. Long before Edinburgh had a name, the Salisbury Crags cut sharply against the sky, their dark rock faces catching the light like scars left by time. Raw, unpolished, honest. Here, nature is not decorative. It is not fenced off or curated for tourists. People run, walk, sit, think. Some come to clear their minds, others to feel small again. Many come alone. This closeness changes the rhythm of life. After heavy thoughts, the city offers open space. After tension, it offers silence. After long nights, it offers morning light spilling over hills and sea. From the summit, the view unfolds slowly. Old Town, New Town, the coastline fading into mist. Stone, water, and sky layered together like a living map. This is where Edinburgh reveals something rare. A city that does not push nature away. A place where wilderness is not an escape, but a companion. You do not need to leave town to feel grounded. You only need to walk uphill. And in that simple act, the city reminds you of something essential. Freedom is not only social. Sometimes, it is geographical. After the hills and volcanic silence of the city, the journey drifts naturally toward water. In Edinburgh, the sea is never far. It does not announce itself loudly. It waits. Just a short ride from stone streets and ancient walls, Portobello Beach opens like a quiet exhale. A long curve of sand, a pale sky, cold waves brushing the shore with restraint. Here, people walk more than they swim. They listen more than they speak. The sea is cold, yes, but it is honest. And that honesty shapes daily life. Morning walks, evening reflections, a rhythm measured not by clocks, but by tides. Farther along the coast, the land becomes playful. At Crammon Beach, the sea creates a secret. When the tide pulls back, a stone path appears. Step by step, it leads toward a small island. But this path is temporary. Miss the timing, and water returns, quietly closing the door. That uncertainty creates wonder, a gentle sense of adventure. Not dramatic, not dangerous, just enough to remind you that nature still decides. Beyond the city, the coastline opens wider. North Berwick feels lighter. The beaches stretch longer. The air smells cleaner. Families walk barefoot on sand that never feels crowded. Time slows down without asking permission. And offshore, rising from the water like a dark monument, stands Bass Rock, white with seabirds, ancient, unmoving, a reminder that this sea has watched centuries pass without comment. Here, the ocean is not a vacation fantasy. It is part of the everyday, a place to think, to reset, to feel small in a comforting way. No palm trees, no noise, no spectacle, just water, wind, and the steady pull of the tide. In Scotland, escape does not require distance. Sometimes, it only requires following the horizon. Scotland reveals itself most clearly, not in a single place, but in the quiet tension between its cities. After the stillness of the sea and the patience of the tide, the story widens. In Edinburgh, everything feels deliberate. Stone streets, measured steps, a city that thinks before it speaks. Here, history is not decoration. It is structure. Castles watch from above. Libraries breathe centuries of thought. Life moves slowly, as if every moment deserves to be considered. Edinburgh teaches restraint. It values silence, order, and reflection. It asks you to listen, to notice details, to understand before reacting. Then comes Glasgow, and the rhythm changes. Glasgow does not whisper. It hums. Old factories stand beside new galleries. Brick walls carry murals instead of soot. Music spills from doorways. Laughter travels fast. Once an industrial giant, Glasgow learned how to reinvent itself. Steel became sound. Shipyards became stages. What was heavy turned creative. People here speak quickly, laugh openly, and live with visible emotion. Where Edinburgh preserves, Glasgow experiments. Where one holds history carefully, the other reshapes it. Between these two worlds lies Stirling. Smaller, quieter, anchored in memory. Stirling does not rush. Its castle stands like a pause in the landscape, a reminder of battles, borders, and independence. Walking its streets feels like stepping into a slower chapter, where time stretches and stories settle. Stirling offers depth without noise, a place to breathe between contrasts. And this is Scotland, not one identity, but a balance, stillness and motion, reflection and expression, stone and sound. Scotland does not demand attention. It earns understanding. It is not a country you simply visit. It is a place you slowly learn to read. And long after the journey ends, the contrast remains. Quietly, deeply, before this journey ends, let it leave you with more than images. Scotland is not a place you simply visit. It is a place you listen to, through stone streets, quiet seas, strong women, and cities that carry both memory and motion. If this video helped you see deeper, not just where Scotland is, but what it feels like, then its purpose is fulfilled. Now help the channel grow in value, not just numbers. Comment below. What surprised you most about Scotland in this story? A place, a mindset, or a way of life? Like the video if you believe travel content should inspire curiosity, not just show destinations. Subscribe if you want future documentaries that go beyond beauty and explore culture, identity, and human depth. And finally, tell us one country you want to truly understand next, not for tourism. For perspective, your interaction doesn't just support the channel, it shapes the journeys we create next. See you in the next story.